Welcome to Sister Scoop, where we are covering all the big Marvel news topics. And we're going to get into our very first one, which is Loki related. It does seem like he might be taking his final bow in Doomsday / Secret Wars. Seems like this is going to be his last just hurrah in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm necessarily surprised by this. I think, he had a little bit, or he did have a renaissance in the form of, his own show, and the original Loki that we were first introduced to obviously is no longer living. This is like a different iteration, different variant of the character. And I don't know that we needed another 10 years of this version of the character, or 8 years, however many. So I'm fine necessarily with like this happening. I think as long as they do it really well, I think, I don't know how I feel about this God of Stories situation that's going on. Check out our Loki episodes for more on that.
Yeah.
But I think they do have the opportunity to wrap that up really nicely and maybe not do like a really crappy killing scene like in Infinity War, and actually give him like a good solid ending, a la more the Iron Man route, where it's like, oh, you see how far this character has come and he gets to have his moment in the sun and hopefully reunite with his brother at least one more time. And maybe he won't even die. Maybe he'll just like actually get to be happy. So I'm not surprised. I'm also not upset. I feel like do it right and I'll be, very satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised either. Quite frankly, I don't know what you do with this character at this point. I think that was a lot of our feelings at the end of Loki season 2. It was like, where do we go from here? How do we expand from here? And that's kind of hard to decide. I mean, he's really like the ruler essentially of the multiverse. So I also think too, with some of the rumors of the multiverse not inherently fully existing post Secret Wars and what that could or could not look like. I mean, if they go the route where it's not going to exist or it's going to be really limited, however they do that, I mean, you don't need him really. So I do think it's not shocking to me. I don't love this rendition of Loki as much. I mean, good for him for who he is now and that he is the God of Stories and everything. But I'm ready, I think, to see him take his final bow. And so I think it's time.
I agree. There's such a thing as like too much of a good thing, and like even though his first death was like so unsatisfying, like I don't know that we needed more.
No,
and that's a hot take. I know it's a hot take.
I agree.
But like,
I agree.
You know?
And I think, quite honestly, his first death, like official death, like actual death, was really, well, because he died 17 other times, but like it was kind of disappointing for a character you put so much into. So like giving him a second breath of life was not something I was against. I think how they went about it was not my favorite thing, because I do think just the TVA stuff in general has like muddied so much of what's gone on. So I don't know. I do think it's probably his time in whatever way they're going to do it. I do hope maybe it's not a death. Or at least if it is, it's like a sacrificial, like let him have a real sacrifice, not whatever he kind of was doing in Infinity War. Like give him his moment, let Tom Hiddleston like really go off and give the last hurrah. So I'm not shocked by this. I just hope it's done well, really.
Yeah, could not agree more.
Awesome. On to our next, some X-Men news, which is exciting. I mean, honestly, we've had one of these at least like once a month.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't know. But Kirby Howell-Baptiste possibly being looked at for Storm. I mean, again, we've kind of had like at least a monthly, like this person could be this role for like the past year. So I'm not entirely sure if this is going to come to fruition, but it is now a rumor floating around.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think what's interesting about this kind of like, it's almost like an ongoing series that we have like within Sister Scoop of like, here's the newest X-Men rumor. But I think what's kind of cool is like now that we have a director and we know that like things are starting to move, like I'm starting to put a little bit more weight behind the rumors, because they're going to be getting to the point where they're having real conversations about casting. Like, when we were talking about this a year ago, they didn't even have a director. Like it was literally like so premature that like, if we were being picky, we probably shouldn't have even been like talking about it from a news perspective. Like rumor for sure, but like from a news perspective, way, way, way too early. But now we have Jake Schreier on board, and it's like, okay, like he could be actually having these conversations like in a legitimate, we are going to sign you type way. So whether or not this one, to your point, comes to fruition, still obviously TBD. But the closer we get, the more and more I'm like, all right, this one might be real. With that being said, it is important, I think, to talk a little bit about where you might have seen her. So she's been in like quite a few TV shows. The Good Place is definitely one that I'm familiar with. Love that show. Barry and Killing Eve. Go check out her IMDb. She's actually been in, like I said, quite a few shows. Those were just some of the ones that like I knew and like enough to be like, oh, I recognize that name. Like you might as well. But she definitely seems like someone who's gotten a lot of work. She's got a really good resume. So that gives me a lot of gives her a lot of credibility in my eyes in terms of like her acting ability. So exciting.
It is exciting, and we'll just have to see how it plays out as we have with really everybody else that we've kind of thrown their name out there since rumors do fly. I hope we start to just in general get a little bit more of the X-Men castings. Like I would like to know at least a few of them. It would just bring me joy, quite frankly, if I say it like that. And I think too, depending on who they start to cast, I think we can kind of see the direction they may or may not be going. Agreed. I know personally, and no, this is not just because I'm impartial towards this character, but like I want an X-Men where we actually see like people such as Gambit, as Jubilee, and I know Jubilee was technically in some of the other ones, but like not really. I want to see our X-Men 97 equivalents come to the forefront. So I think that's so important to me that I'm hoping we even just get, okay, cast your Gambit, cast, whatever. I know we're going to have a Scott Summers. I know we're going to have a Logan. Like, I know those are your big players no matter what. I want the full team. I want a Beast. I want all of those. Like, I want those characters. So I'd like to start hearing some of those castings, even if we aren't necessarily going to get like the big ones just yet.
Yeah, agreed. And to your point, I think the more you see, the more you're like, oh, I see that they're going younger, or I see they're going more established. Like, because that's still a question that we don't know the answer to yet. So even that would just be like a huge tidbit, not even a tidbit, a huge morsel to get and like understand.
Yeah, so I think we're just going to have to see how these play out as we have with everybody else. But let's talk about the last one. We've been talking about this at least one other time before, and it's the rumor that Mark Ruffalo could be in Brand New Day. We do have a small update to that. So in the same breath, he both said he doesn't have a script yet, so he's not sure if he's actually in it, but also that he's excited to work with Jon Bernthal. So I mean, sounds a little bit like he might know he's in it, but he just doesn't have a script.
Has he like gotten his script privileges back yet?
There's a good chance with him and Tom on the same movie. No.
Yeah. I mean, like you put the Spoiler Kings together. So poor Jon Bernthal's gonna have to pull a Benedict Cumberbatch and like babysit these two, or like poor Don Cheadle, who looked like he wanted to fall through the floor whenever Mark Ruffalo opened his mouth. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's definitely interesting because he's doing that very classic like Marvel actor thing where they just won't commit. I'm actually kind of surprised he's able to pull it off because he has such a history of just like completely inserting his foot in his mouth and like giving major spoilers. But you're right. I think, for him to say I don't have a script, they're filming, so you would think he would have it by now, especially because we've seen Bernthal on set. So we know it's not just like they're just doing the Spider-Man scenes, like they're doing the meat of the film, what I would assume where the Punisher is. So that is a little odd that he hasn't seen a film. Again, he hasn't seen a script. Again, he could be totally lying a la Andrew Garfield. But in the same breath, for him to be like, I'm so excited about working with Bernthal, it's like, oh, your Spoiler King side came out. Like, you did so good. Your media training was like so there. And then you were like, but I'm excited about this. So I don't know. I have no idea. I think he's in it though. I'm not gonna lie.
I think he's in it because quite frankly, just from the jump, it's a rumor so absurd that I feel like you can't not be. Like Loki, I just feel like it doesn't really make sense. Where would they have pulled the Hulk being in I almost said Brave New World in Brand New Day? Like they need to stop with that. That's a little too close for me.
I know.
But
too many B's and like words.
yeah, too similar for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, I do think it's too absurd for me to like write it off. I feel like you have to be like, and then to your point, like in the exact same breath, my guy was like, but John Bernthal, like he's such a great actor. I can't wait. Like,
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think the chances are he's probably in it. I would hope he's not. I mean, he's still Professor Hulk, guys. So like he's not going to be out here like Hulk smashing. So I don't know what level of involvement he is going to be in it. I hope not much. But
I do wonder if he's going to help. I mean, early theory, I do wonder if he's going to help because we know that Zendaya and Jacob are both in it if he helps with the memory situation because he's
but that was magic.
I don't know. Look,
I was more so thinking he might be a reference because some of the people Peter is going up against are like going to be like the Scorpion, it ends up being like enhanced and things of that nature. So I was thinking maybe from the science perspective of helping Peter, whatever, because now that he doesn't have Tony who put all that in his suit, he has an OG suit. So like he actually has to revert back to being Peter Parker and doing the science behind everything. So I was thinking maybe more from that perspective, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't really want the Hulk in this film, like regardless of like how they choose to write him in. I think it's like I still the fact that we're not giving Spider-Man his own film, even though we went through an entire trilogy where we were like, please just give him his own film.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm hoping if he's in it, it's very short. I'm hoping if the man hasn't seen the script and hasn't been on set, that's to say it will be short and sweet. And it's just not necessarily a cameo, but enough to kind of just be like, here he is, whatever, cool, move on. I don't know. I'm not really excited about him being in it either. I just want Peter to have room to breathe.
Yeah. And I don't even mind the Punisher because at least it's like the same level of like grounded, like street level stuff that Spider-Man can do. Obviously he hasn't done a ton of that in the MCU, but like he is very capable of doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And the Hulk just feels like you're like elevating it to a totally different level that I'm not interested in seeing personally for Spider-Man at this particular juncture. So let's stop repeating our mistakes and stop overstuffing our films. Okay, Thank you. Signed, Sisters Assembled.
Yes. And on that note, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are joining us next week as we take on 3 more Marvel news topics. And of course, be listening to the podcast as we are still in our replay series. So we are doing Endgame right now. So go check that out as well. And as always, we will see you guys next week. Bye.